Thursday on Fox, we will not be doing the finale of Yankees-Red Sox. No, we will be doing the first game of the Orioles-Rays series from Camden Yards. That's right, the Orioles and Rays, not the Yankees and Red Sox. And why? Look at the standings. The Orioles and Rays have the two best records in the American League. The Orioles, in fact, are only 3 games behind the Braves as of Monday for the best record in baseball. And the Braves have been rampaging through the National League all season. Now, what's interesting here is the spread between the clubs right now. The Orioles lead this division by 3 games. And I had someone with the Rays tell me over the weekend, we've got to get a little closer to really make that series meaningful. At the time, the spread was 4 games. It's now 3. The Orioles, as we will see, host St. Louis for the next 3. Tampa Bay at Minnesota. Now, Tampa Bay has the superior run differential by quite a bit. They are plus 195. The Orioles are just plus 118. The Orioles actually behind the Astros in that regard. But the Orioles have played at an extremely high level all season. And in some ways, they are like the Rays. Rarely beat themselves, play excellent defense, run the bases extremely well. Offensively, they're opportunistic, and they are a team that just has done some really good things all season long. Now, the battle of the rotations is where the argument starts, right? The Rays have a big 3, even with all the injuries that they've suffered. McClanahan and Rasmussen, everyone on down. They still have Glasnow and Eflin and Savali. But the Orioles' rotation, which to me still is the biggest question of this club, maybe the bullpen too, in some respects now with Bautista out. But the Orioles' rotation has a front 3 as well. It's Bradish, it's Rodriguez, it's Kramer. Each has made 10 starts since the All-Star break. Each has a sub-3 ERA. And John Means, who was the former ace of this team, the ace when they weren't so good, he's coming back Tuesday night from Tommy John surgery, and he had another issue that set him back in May. Be pitching for the first time since April 2022. And who knows what he could give them down the stretch. Now, the bullpen without Bautista, I mentioned it. It's a bit of a problem. There's no doubt about that. It's not the same, not as deep, not as dominant. But Yennier Cano had a tremendous August. Did not allow a single earned run. He's been a little bit rocky in September. And they've got some other relievers pitching well in addition to Cano. Fujinami is kind of a wild card. He's the guy who came over from Oakland in mid-July. He's a bit of hit or miss. But when he's on, and he's been on the last few outings, he is really good and dominant. 2 of the lefties, Cionel Perez and Danny Coulombe, they've been outstanding as well. Neither has allowed an earned run going back to July. So the Orioles bullpen might not be the same without Bautista. Obviously, it's not the same. But at the same time, it's still pretty formidable. And I expect that this is going to be a team that competes really well until the end of the season and also in the postseason. I know some people with Tampa Bay are thinking, well, how will the Orioles respond to the pressure of a big series coming up? They've responded to the pressure all year. They've applied pressure, and that is what they've continued to do. So let's look at the remaining schedules, and it'll give us some insight into just how this might play out the rest of the way. Start with the Orioles' remaining schedule, and I mentioned that 3 with St. Louis, then 4 with Tampa Bay. That's a 7-game homestand. Then they go to Houston and Cleveland, neither an easy opponent. Then 2 with Washington, 4 with Boston to end the season. Tampa Bay, their schedule about the same, maybe a little bit easier. Go to Minnesota, go to Baltimore, Angels at home, Toronto at home, and then at Boston, at Toronto to finish the season. Actually, it's not easier. It's at least as formidable as the Orioles. So the AL East race will be the focus of baseball, really starting on Thursday when that series begins. And it has been a remarkable year when you consider, again, that the 2 best teams in this league have been 2 of the lower revenue teams, 2 teams that I don't know that many people expected to be as dominant this year. And the Rays have done this even without, as I said, McClanahan and Rasmussen and now Franco. They were without Glasnow for some time. Shane Baz was hurt. Jeffrey Springs out for the season. They've had a series of unfortunate events, and yet they have survived.